So now that Griffiths Airport in Rome has been selected as a test site for unmanned aircraft, one lawmaker is hoping to see new businesses come to New York. Drones, as they are known, can have commercial use and also can be a tool for law enforcement agencies. But there are a lot of concerns about privacy and safety. Joining me from the state capitol now to talk about regulating unmanned aircraft is Senator Greg Ball. Senator, welcome back to Capitol tonight.
Great to be here. Hope you're doing well.
I am. Thank you very much. And so are there no regulations at this moment in the state? Is there anything at all?
You know, just like we've seen with social technology, social networking technology, and the fact that our rules, regulations, and laws need to catch up and take pace with what's happening in modern times. It's the same thing with drone legislation, and it's a very interesting topic, and you know, it may be a little bit early right now as far as being ahead of the technology, but I think it's important to begin the conversation. We have put the legislation forward to begin having the conversation about how do you take advantage of what is an awesome commercial opportunity. We're talking about estimates of hundreds of thousands of jobs nationally. States that are in place in the beginning are going to get the lion's share of those jobs, and a multi-billion-dollar industry that at this point is slated to hit $15 billion in the next couple of years. So we got to put the laws in place and balance privacy concerns, and that's what I hope to do.
What are you proposing exactly?
Excuse me, what's that?
What are you proposing specifically?
Yeah, we're looking at the legislation in other states, specifically Texas, that has, and also at the federal level. Senator Rand Paul put a host of legislation in that really addresses the privacy concerns. You know, from a homeland security perspective, whether it be counterterror or otherwise, drone capability on our coastline and otherwise could be extremely effective. But what you don't want to see are drones being used that say, for example, that the drone is on a counter-terrorism mission, but they happen to see that there's a spill at a local farm. We don't want them to be able to then use that poisonous fruit to be able to go after that farmer. And there are real concerns about that, whether it be flying over somebody's home or whether it be flying over a business. So we've got to curtail that to protect people's privacy, but at the same time use our ability in New York State to take advantage and leverage the commercial opportunity, which other states are already ahead of us, whether it be Florida or Texas.
What do you make of Amazon's Jeff Bezos's idea that perhaps we could get our packages delivered at some point by drones?
You know, it may be something that people look at now as being sci-fi and being crazy, but whether it be Google cars, the autonomous vehicle legislation, or whether it be using drones, there's a real commercial application for this, whether it be crop dusting or delivering a pizza. This is going to happen, and that's why it's important to get the legislation out there now and make sure that whether these drones are being used for commercial purposes or whether they're being used for law enforcement purposes, that people's privacy is protected at all costs, and that's what we're going to do.
Do you envision that there could be a time where I might be able to say I'd like my home or business to be drone free? In other words, don't be flying over my property?
You know, I think just like there aren't many buggy whip manufacturers anymore and you see progress, this may be a little scary to some people, but just like the vehicle, just like the plane, just like technology in general, as long as we get this right, I think the vast majority of people, if not everybody, will welcome it because of the ease that it'll bring through commercial, you know, opportunities.
There are a couple other things I wanted to talk to you about. Obviously, we haven't spoken to you in a while. It is the beginning of the session. This isn't the only piece of legislation that you're concerned about. You're also chairing the Veterans Committee. We saw a shout out to you from the Republican leader, Dean Skelos, in his response to the State of the State. You were pleased that the governor mentioned a priority of yours in his State of the State, but then subsequently in the budget didn't fund it. Do I have that correct?
Yeah, I mean, look, what we're looking to do is follow 44 other states in the federal government and have a set aside of 5% for service-disabled veterans. We're talking about men and women, some of whom are missing limbs, that have been through horrific things that would break most people. The good news, 95% of those that are hurt in battle these days actually make it back because of the advances in medical technology and armor protection. The bad news is that we're not doing a very good job of helping them transition back into the private sector. That's what this bill does. The governor committed himself to it, to say that he was going to do 5%. It's nowhere to be found in his budget. I hope that was an oversight. I hope that it's a staff issue because he did commit to our service-disabled vets. It's the right thing to do. We're already behind 44 other states that have already done it. We need to do it. We need to get it done in this budget.
What's your outlook of being able to work with the governor going forward? I mean, the relationship between the executive and legislative branches hasn't exactly been sunny, thanks to the Moreland Commission. And just lately, we have a sort of open warfare between the governor and conservative Republicans, of which you are one, I think, still, thanks to his comments about quote-unquote extreme conservatives having, quote, no place in New York. Now, he sought to temper those remarks, but I know that the party is quite angry, as is the Catholic Church.
You know, it's not about Moreland. I mean, it goes beyond that. And I'll tell you, I mean, this governor, you know, I want to do nothing more than work with this governor on our shared goals. I mean, jobs, taxes, getting the state back on track. And there was a time there where we were working together on the things. 2 million New Yorkers have not left this state because of social issues. 2 million New Yorkers have left the state because they can't afford to live here. And we need the governor focused on that and finding common ground. But what I have found personality-wise with this governor is that, and I think many in the press are scared of him. I think many in the legislature are scared of him. I think he exhibits tendencies at times to be a bully, and I think that that's unfortunate. You know, politics requires pettiness, unfortunately, and it requires greatness. And some people have more pettiness than greatness. I have not, when it comes to veterans issues, and on this in particular, I would love for the governor to work with me to help our service-disabled vets. But you can't bully people, and I think whether it's the legislature, whether it's the press, this governor has a personality where he wants his way 110%, and that's just not how life works. So if we can work together on jobs and taxes, getting the state back on track, but to the extent that he's going to either govern through threats or focus on the social issues, he's not going to have a partner.
Well, what's interesting about that, though, is that the Republicans, while there's sort of a grassroots anger, and even among elected officials like yourself, as we just heard, with the governor, the Republican Party's spinning when it comes to trying to find somebody to challenge him. I mean, I don't know if you...
Well, I mean, Liz, I mean, look, at the end of the day, we're in a state outnumbered 2-1. We're an endangered species, you know, akin to the lowland mountain gorilla. I mean, you know, we're out there. I mean, we're outnumbered. So, but the point is this, is that, you know, we can work together, and we've already done it, whether it be repealing the MTA payroll tax, the property tax cap. There are great things that we can accomplish. But when you have a governor who's telling it, imagine Rick Perry if he came out and said, you know what, I want every liberal in the state of Texas to get out of Texas. Everybody who's pro-choice, if you're pro-choice, leave the state of Texas. I mean, there would be calls for his resignation, rightfully so, but that's not in Rick Perry's heart. And the governor in that interview, and you do very good interviews, and you know how to do an interview, he wasn't pushed on that. He wasn't backed into a corner. He offered that. And it's scary because it seems as though that is in his heart, that if you are pro-life, if you support the Second Amendment, if you believe in traditional marriage, he just doesn't want you there. And that's not a governor, that's a dictator. So, and that seems to be how he wants to govern at times, and it's unfortunate. So,
but do you believe, though, that your party should, in fact, find somebody to challenge him? And if so, who is that person in your mind?
I tell you, if you look at how the governor has responded to Rob Astorino, he's scared.
Of Rob Astorino, not of Donald Trump?
Look, definitely Rob Astorino. I think he would rather have a Donald Trump and have a sideshow as opposed to a Rob Astorino who is a quiet and subtle leader. Look, Rob Astorino and I are very different. When I was growing up, I was watching John Wayne. I think, you know, Rob was probably watching Mr. Rogers. So we're two different people. But when it comes to a politician who's effective and is one in the county that's 2-1, Rob has what's going to scare Cuomo. And at the end of the day, Cuomo wants to have big numbers, and he's not going to get it with Rob.
All right. Well,
and Rob isn't going to make a mistake.
Well, we're almost out of time. I mean, obviously, we're going to be waiting to see what Rob Astorino decides in terms of whether or not he's running. You know, there has been talk that you may not seek re-election, that instead you would run for Putnam County Executive. Can you commit today to running for re-election to your Senate seat?
You know, I think a lot of people have had me running for Congress at times, and now there's talk about county executive. I'll tell you that nobody knows, and I can say that looking right into your eyes and to the camera's eyes, because I don't know at this point. I'll make a decision after the budget. Regardless, I think if you look at the next 3 to 4 weeks, there's news about candidates that we're building in districts, and I believe we're going to be able to expand the Senate majority. The Terry Gibson seat, that's wide open. We have a bunch of great candidates there. The Catchett seat, she's just absolutely making mistake after mistake, so I think we're going to pick that seat up. And to the north, there's a seat we're going to pick up, so we're in very good position.
Okay, so after the budget is a little bit late, though, you'd really have to hit the ground running.
I hit the ground running every morning, sometimes literally 8 miles, other days figuratively, so we'll be okay.
Yeah, we've seen your tweets. We know what time you're up.
I'm supposed to be running against Pat, so we'll see how that goes.
Oh, okay, well, we will talk to you soon, Senator. I thank you very much for your time.
God bless.